This is the program for the home for the vets who can't make it out. So initially, I'd like to introduce Jeff Jewell, who is the director for the Concord Vet Center. And then I think most of you know Congressman Mike Thompson. Don Ververka, who is the head of the Veterans Home. And then Jim Dunbar, who is the mayor of Yountville. So I want to tell you a little bit about why Mr. Dunbar is here, Mayor Dunbar is here, and that's because we're very fortunate in Yountville in that the town of Yountville supports the Veterans Home and the veterans in Napa County better than any other town I've ever been involved with. So I just wanted the mayor to be here to thank him for all the effort that him and his township does for the vets here at the home, as well as the Pathway Home, as well as anybody else that's a veteran. So they have an open door policy. So thank you very much, Mayor. So at this time, if you're able to rise, I'd like for everybody to stand up and we're going to pledge allegiance. Flag is located up here. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing. We're very fortunate today in that we have a senior airman from Travis Air Force Base, Buddha Singh, who is going to sing the national anthem for us. And if you feel like joining her, I don't think that's a problem, is it?
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Let's give her a big hand. That's beautiful. At this time, I'd like you to remain standing, and we'll have an invocation by Chaplain Brooke.
Good morning. Nice to hear church-going response. We are our country's witnesses. We are our country's defenders. We are our country's amen makers. Amen is actually an abbreviation from the Bible for three Hebrew words, meaning that God is a faithful king. Our sages taught that parents should teach their children early in their infancy 100 amens per day. I need you to be responsive. They said that if you don't learn the freedom to express your values, If you depend on the approval of others, they compare that to idolatry. We know the difference. To serve requires loyalty. It requires a love of country. It requires the ability to bite your tongue. None of us have bled to death from this exercise. Some moments we thought it was tempting. Vietnam was unlike any other war. It divided us. It did not unite us. The very word brings a flood of emotions and memory. According to Psalm 8, we are God's highest creation, a little lower than the angels. Will Rogers would mock this verse and say, we're getting lower all the time. We refute that. We refute that supposition that man cannot learn from the past, that he cannot bring others up as well. We are the only creation capable of measuring time and learning lessons from our past. One writer once said, experience is a fancy word for the sum total of my mistakes. Yes, Vietnam has changed our nation. It ended the draft. Our sense of unity is still in recovery. But as freedom-loving citizens, as children of God, we must challenge injustice. We must use our rights and be ethical men and women of principle. Congressman Tom Lantos, of blessed memory, ran for Congress while he was a member of the faculty at UC Berkeley in the Department of Physics, where he obtained a PhD. They asked him, don't you feel overqualified to run for Congress? He answered with great humility, how can one be overqualified to serve their country? May our leaders help us all in the process of healing, in particular our veterans of Vietnam and of today. Recognize the long-term effects of war, both physical and spiritual. May God strengthen all of us in every field of human endeavor. And together let us say, Amen and Amen.
You can take your seat now.
Waiting for the
Directions, right? So a little bit about the program, just so you know, we have some keynote speakers that are going to be talking to us today. And then after the keynotes address, we're going to have a, oops, where's Kim? There she is. We have someone who wrote a song for Vietnam veterans. So at this time, I'd like to introduce Kim Kelly and have her come up and perform her song for you. And then we're going to do, Congressman Thompson's going to have some remarks, and Don Vaverka is going to have some remarks, and Jeff Jewell's going to have some remarks. And then we're going to have a poem read for Vietnam veterans. And after that, then we will do the presentation of the awards.
So, I wanted to write a song especially dedicated to Vietnam veterans, just for so many reasons. I had a friend of mine, she lost the love of her life in Vietnam. His name was Johnny Cruz from Sacramento. So the Johnny I'm going to be singing about is him and so many others. So the song is called Home. John is far from home. Near Saigon, he feels so all alone. Yes, will I come home. Torn apart at the seams, a broken heart, broken dreams. He says, will they forget me? He takes a stand, his heart's in quicksand. He says, they don't understand. Will they remember me, a soldier overseas? He says, please don't forget me. Johnny thinks of home, home. Johnny says, baby, I hope I come home, home. He was the love of her life. There came one night, she was cold as ice. She says, I won't forget that night. They said Johnny died. She didn't realize one breath it could paralyze someone's life. Johnny, you coming home, home. Baby, you're finally coming home, home. So many made it home to a world unknown and must have felt all alone. You must have felt all alone. No ticket parade, just a lot of hate thrown your way. Well, it's time to say, baby, they were wrong. They should have welcomed you home. It should have been done. I'll always be the one to say you're not alone. You're not alone. 'Cause baby, I'll be the one to say I'm glad you're home.
Thank you very much, Kim. So, at this point in the program, I'd like to introduce Congressman Thompson. And in case you didn't know, he is a Vietnam veteran himself. And we want to thank him for his service. Thank you.
Bill, thank you very much. Not so much for the introduction, but thank you very much for putting this together. I think it's important, and I know it's very much appreciated, and I know that you took this on with great personal pride, and you did a great job, so thank you very much. Give him a hand. There are two electeds here that I want to call out because I think it's important They may not be Vietnam veterans, but they're certainly here in support of Vietnam veterans and all veterans, and they have been for the entire time I've known them during their political career. Brad Wagenknecht on the Napa County Board of Supervisors, and Alfredo Pedroza, also from the County Board of Supervisors. A very special thank you to all the veterans who are here. Thank you for your service to our country. Thank you for being here today. And thanks to all the family members of veterans who are here today. I think it's often overlooked, but the fact of the matter is military service in general and war in particular is a family affair. We may leave our families at home, but they're with us every moment of the day, every moment of our deployment. So family members, thank you all very much for being here. And this is a special one, the 50th anniversary of the Vietnam War. And it's pretty amazing. You know, you look back, all of us young guys here, thinking back, boy, has it been that long ago? And the fact of the matter, it has. And it was, as a friend of mine said as we were coming in, said 50 years, it's about time we got some recognition. And that is so very, very true. For a war that touched so many families, so many people in our country. 58,000 Americans died in the Vietnam War. Many of them no older than some of our grandkids. They were people who put their life on the line for our country. They didn't come home. They never saw the life. They never realized the life that they could have lived, and they never were able to contribute the other many things that they could have contributed. And it's a peculiar juxtaposition. If you look at Vietnam veterans coming home or the history of veterans coming home in general, you look at World War II, and who cannot recall that iconic photograph of the sailor kissing the young woman on Victory on VJ Day? If you think about the Iraq War, who can't think about that statue of Saddam Hussein being tumbled down? But you think about our war, you think about Vietnam, and what do we think about? Protests in the streets. And I know that a lot of us here experienced some of that firsthand. And it happened. It's behind us. We need to make sure we've learned from this. And we as Vietnam veterans have a responsibility to make sure that we don't forget it. We can't forget it. But we, as Vietnam veterans, we need to make sure that everybody recognizes from here on out that notwithstanding what you might think about the war, we must always honor the warrior. And make sure that your friends and your neighbors and your families understand that. That's an extremely important lesson that we should take from this. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I'm damn proud that I served in the United States military, and I'm damn proud to say I was a Vietnam veteran. And I'm just going to leave you with one story. When I first ran for public office, the year was about 1998, and I was running for the state senate to represent our district in the California State Senate. And I was elected in that election, the election of 1990. And I was the first Vietnam veteran to ever be elected to the California State Senate. And that was about 24 years after the Vietnam War, so it took that long. But I had a dear friend in Sacramento, a gentleman by the name of B.T. Collins, and some of you may remember B.T. He was appointed to the office of the Treasury for a while. He was an assemblyman. He was the chief of staff to a brand new governor at the time, Governor Gray Davis. And B.T. was also a Green Beret, served in Vietnam, and he was a double amputee. And when I ran, the guy I ran against did not serve in the military, and I did. And folks thought that was going to be a political problem for my opponent. So they were trying to get B.T., also a Republican, the guy I was running against was Republican, tried to get B.T. to come out and do campaign events for my opponent. And B.T. called me and wanted to meet with me, and he said, I'm not going to do it. He said, I'm getting a lot of pressure from my party to do it, but I'm not going to do it. He says, you're my brother. We served together. I'm not going to do it. So every time they call, there's been a reason why I couldn't go campaign for your opponent. Either I was having problems with my prosthetic, the fitting wasn't right, I had the flu. He said, I got 100 reasons why I'm never going to be able to do this. He said, but I am a Republican, and I am in the public light, and I'm not going to be able to come out, in support of you. He said, but I tell you what I'm going to do. And he grabbed my lapel, and he pinned on my lapel a little miniature combat infantryman's badge. He said, wear it. Wear it and be proud. And so I started wearing it that day. And I can't tell you how many veterans on the campaign trail up until that election and beyond have looked at that and said, combat infantryman's badge, who did you serve with? And a lot of people look at it, and I'm still wearing it today, and I've never taken it off. I wear it every day that I have a sport coat or a suit on. And a lot of people will look at that and say, what is that? Is that the NRA? What is that? And I said, no, it's a combat infantryman's badge. And I'm very, very proud to wear it. And I wear this instead of my congressional member's pin. Every member of Congress gets a pin. To say, that you're a congressman or you're a senator. And I was asked in my first term in Congress, they said, why don't you wear your congressional pin? I said, there's 435 people on the floor of the House that are authorized to wear a congressional pin. There aren't but a couple of us who are authorized to wear the combat infantryman's badge. So I'm proud to be here. I'm proud to be a veteran. Thank you all for your service. Bill, thank you again for putting this together.
And that's the kind of support that the veterans need in the Congress and in the Senate. At this point in the program, I'd like to introduce Don Vaverka, who is the director of the Home, also a veteran of Vietnam, and he's the only person that I know of in the Army that actually has a combat infantry corpsman's badge. Is that right? Okay. Don Vaverka.
Some folks have questioned this corpsman thing, saying only the Navy had corpsman. But if I pull out my DD-214 and show you, it says right on it, corpsman, and I'm proud of that. I'm also proud of the fact that the California Veterans Home of Yountville is transitioning into the 21st century and focusing its energies on reaching out to you, the Vietnam veteran. You are the future of this home, and it is incumbent upon us to find the best treatment modalities and the best opportunities to serve your specific needs. Do we have any draftees in the crowd? All right. I'm sure that, like myself, you can remember the day that manila folder showed up in the mailbox that said, "Congratulations, you've been selected." And my mother broke down and cried. Not because I was serving my country, but because she knew how dangerous war is. She knew the psychological impact it had on her twin brother, who served in Europe during World War II, and her brother-in-law, who was a combat medic in the Battle of the Bulge with the 7th Armored Division, Silver Star recipient. War is an ugly thing, but sometimes it's a necessary thing if we're going to protect the very principles that support the lives that we live under a flag of freedom. And I would just like to say that I feel among friends today. That's a good feeling. I feel that I'm among family. we have so much in common. We served during an unpopular war and attitudes toward us. We have come out of that with honor and pride, knowing that we served with honor and distinction, and we gave this country what we could give. We give today our pride and our thanksgiving for our 58,000 comrades who did not come back. We are certainly the fortunate ones, and it is we who have to hold the banner and say that we served and we are proud of it. And we are grateful for what we have gained as a result of knowing that we made a difference. The Vietnam War is a war we would like to forget. It's a war we can't. What we can't forget, nor should we, are the sacrifices we veterans made by answering the call of duty and serving with distinction. Patriotism, dedication to service, honor to our country should never be unpopular, but embraced and valued as a core value of freedom. God bless this great